All right, guys, so we got to talk about this new poll from the Wall Street Journal that looks like a disaster for the Democrats, okay? And in my opinion, just my humble opinion, I think that 2022 is going to be a bloodbath, okay? It's going to be a bloodbath as Biden is slowly on his way to becoming the most unpopular president in history, probably when it's all said and done. And Kamala's already the most unpopular vice president in history, okay? And with that being said, because they're the leaders of their party, it also makes their party look bad overall, which is also showing up in the polls, as they are basically losing on a lot of key issues that decide elections. So let's talk about this, because I think that this is a big deal, right? And if I'm the Democrats, I will be scared-ishless, right? I'll be scared-ishless, right? And to me, there really seems to be no positive things or any real direction coming from the Democrat Party in the face of the American people souring on them, especially considering how Joe Biden allegedly was the most popular president in history when he got elected. So let's actually take a look at some of these polls here. Voters are heading into the midterm election year in a sour mood, pessimistic about the economy, and short of confidence on the leadership of President Biden and his party on the issues that concern them the most, a new Wall Street Journal poll finds. The survey reveals a set of danger signs for the Democrat Party as it prepares to defend narrow majorities in the House and Senate. Voters, by a large margin, see economic and fiscal issues, including inflation, as the top priorities for Washington, and they view the GOP as better able to handle them. A silver lining for Democrats is that party initiatives in Congress, the recently enacted bipartisan infrastructure bill and proposed set of climate and social spending programs, had a potential to draw potential support from voters who are undecided on their 2022 choice, the poll found. Democrats are also viewed as best able to control the COVID-19 pandemic, cut healthcare prices, and improve education. All right, so that's just an overall summary of the findings here. So let's actually look. They have Biden's approval rating at 57% disapprove, 41% approve overall. And then they have undecided voters. Biden has 63% disapprove. And among independents, 66% disapprove. That don't look good to me, right? I mean, because apparently, political scientists say that independents decide the elections, right? And they seem pretty sour on Joe Biden right now, right? So not good for him. And then we go down here to all other things being equal. If the election for Congress were held today, which candidate would you support for Congress? 44% say they would support a Republican versus 41% say they would support a Democrat. Now, again, this is terrible news for the Democrats in reference to 2022, right? Because this signals that the GOP, 3% is not a large margin, but guys, it's still pretty early on in the Biden presidency, right? Like if you look at the party's approval rating, right, a president's approval rating over time from the beginning of their presidency to the end, it always goes down, right? It's just Biden's has literally tanked, right? I mean, particularly ever since Afghanistan, but it typically goes down. So that means that it's really not going to get better, right? More than likely, it's not going to get better. And with the historical precedent in which the party that didn't win the presidency takes over in the midterms, again, it looks like, 2022, it should be a sweep for the GOP. Now, again, this margin right here is not particularly big, but considering the fact that it's still almost a year away, a little bit less than a year away from midterms, in the fact that Biden's doing so bad and Republicans are already kind of pulling ahead, not just on this, but key issues that we're going to talk about here in a minute. Again, I just don't think that's a good sign for the Democrats, right? I think that they're going to get slaughtered as long as the GOP just does nothing, right? As long as they just chill, right? Just let the Democrats continue to destroy themselves. Is the country on the right track or off in the wrong direction? 63% say it's headed in the wrong direction. 27% say it's headed in the right direction. Again, so we have 63% of people saying that this country is not headed in the right direction. Again, this is not good. Not good stuff. Now, this is what really matters, right? Who, in your opinion, is best able to handle each of the following issues? Where the GOP has an advantage. On rebuilding the economy, the GOP is winning 46% to 35%. Getting inflation under control, the GOP is winning 44% to 26%. Securing the border, the GOP is winning 52% to 16%, right? And guys, we all know what decides elections, right? The economy decides elections, okay? If the economy is doing good, by the time the election come around, the incumbent is probably going to win, right? If the economy is not doing well, then the opposition, right, the party that's not in control is probably going to win. It's really that simple. When it comes to the economy and inflation, which are two key issues that American people care about right now, the GOP is basically sweeping, right? They are destroying the Democrats on these issues, right? And if that's any indication, plus the prior poll that we saw about how if the election were held today, the GOP would have an advantage. Again, all the GOP has to do really is nothing, okay? And there'll be a clean sweep, right? Because the Democrats are digging their own grave, and they're trying to dig it even deeper by spending more money, right? Trying to pass this Build Back Better bill, even though I think it's become obvious that, you know what, we really don't have any more room to be spending any more money. We kind of need to chill out on all this, right? So where the Democrats have an advantage, getting the pandemic under control, 41% to 25% over the GOP. Again, I don't understand this one because, in my opinion, there's no evidence to suggest that the Democrats are better at handling the pandemic than the Republicans are, right? I really don't see where this is coming from, to be quite honest with you. I mean, under Biden, we have more deaths from COVID-19 than under Trump, right? Now, early on in the pandemic, the Democrat states, particularly in the Northeast, they were the ones that was doing the worst when it came to the pandemic, right? Now, don't get me wrong, some red states have had their ups and downs when it comes to the pandemic as well, too, but it seems to have leveled off, right? And a lot of this stuff seems to be just seasonal, okay, in regards to the deaths and the spread of the virus, okay? So, again, I don't see why people trust the Democrats so much when it comes to the pandemic when, again, there's no evidence, in my opinion, that they're actually better at handling it than the GOP would be. I really don't. Now, this one right here is shocking. Improve education. GOP is losing to Democrats 29% to 38%. I don't understand for the life of me. How in the world can you have watched last year as the Democrats shut down schools, right, which has cost our students dearly, okay? They've been in bed with teachers' unions. That's one of the reasons why they continue to shut down schools, right? And they're pushing a radical racialized education agenda that is dumbing down our education in schools. Plus, on top of how all these school districts in these Democrat cities are failing, I don't understand how you can see all that stuff and then think that the Democrats somehow are better on education than the GOP. I really don't understand, right? I think that school choice and a more free market approach is objectively superior than what the Democrats advocate for, okay? So, I mean, I don't know, man. You know, this issue right here, I really don't understand it, just like I don't understand the pandemic. Making healthcare more affordable. The Democrats 47%, the GOP 25%. I mean, well, the Democrats promised to have the government pay for everything. So, you know, hey, when you promise to have the government pay for everything, people are going to say, oh, yeah, it's more affordable, right? Even though you're paying for it with your taxpayer dollars, right? So, yeah, I found these polls to be interesting. And in my opinion, based off the economy, based off if the election was held today poll, based off Biden's just declining approval rating and the fact that people don't think this country is heading in the right direction, I think it's a disaster for the Democrats right now. Okay, and I think that if things continue to go the way they're going, they're going to get swept, right? And it doesn't seem like them being extra woke is really going to help them, as there was another interesting poll from Politico that found that 40% of Hispanics find the term Latinx to be offensive, right? I haven't talked about this a lot, but I find this to be hilarious because this is basically East Coast liberals trying to be extra woke and to make a gendered language, a culture that literally uses a gendered language. They're trying to take that away from them in the name of wokeness. So let's read here. A new political poll shows that just 2% of Latinos refer to themselves as Latinx, the gender-neutral replacement for Latino/Latina that has taken root in many elite progressive circles over the course of the past few years. That's the only circles that is taking place in, to be quite honest with you. By contrast, 68% use Hispanic and 21% use the gender Latino/Latina to describe their ethnic identity. This is not the first poll to show that Latinx is remarkably unpopular with actual Hispanics. A November 29 poll from the progressive think tank research showed just 2% of the demographic preferred the term. A August 2020 Pew poll showed that number hovering around 3%. The most favorable sample size in the August 2021 Gallup survey topped out at a whopping 5%. So no matter how many polls they take, Latino/Latina/the Hispanic community says, we ain't vibing with this Latinx thing, okay? We ain't all that woke, right? The only people that use this term are black and white liberals, right? Those are the only people that use that term. Now, speaking of Hispanics, right, some even more bad news for the Democrats is that Hispanic voters are now evenly split between parties, right? And I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys, right? I'm going to keep it 100. I have high respect for the Hispanics because they actually know how to vote, right? They actually know how to vote in ways in which you get political parties to actually pay attention to them, right? By not voting just for one team, right? Not voting just for one party, okay? They figured it out, okay? As Republicans have made rapid gains among this demographic that has long favored Democrats. So let's actually just go straight to the numbers here to keep this video short. Basically, which candidate would you support for Congress? It is evenly split, 37-37 among Hispanics in regards to the Democrats versus the GOP. Hispanic men prefer the GOP, 45-29. Hispanic women prefer the Democrats, 46-29. And among all adults, the GOP is winning among Hispanics. Again, kind of crazy to think about, considering how the Democrats are supposed to be the party for minorities, right? I just love how the Hispanics, again, they see through the BS, right? When it comes to the Democrats and their woke virtue signaling. But, you know, women, on the other hand, you know, they, for whatever reason, still love Democrats. I don't know why, man. I really don't know why. If the 2024 election for president were held today, who would you vote for? Hispanics, 43% Trump, Biden, 44%. That's overall. Hispanic men, 56% for Trump, 33% for Biden. Hispanic women prefer Biden for 55% to Trump, 30%. Out of all adults, Biden has a slight edge with 46% to Trump, 45%. Which, in my opinion, I mean, look, here's the thing. With the historical precedence of, you know, the Democrats, you know, having the minorities, I mean, if the minority vote is evenly split, that's a win for the GOP. It really is, right? It really is. Do you approve or disapprove of the job Joe Biden is doing as president? Hispanics disapprove, 54% to 42% approve. Hispanic men, 61% disapprove versus 38% approve. Hispanic women, 46% disapprove to 46% approve. So it's even among Hispanic women. Out of all adults, we have 57% disapprove for Biden and 41% approve. So again, this ain't really looking too good for the Democrats and the Biden administration in regards to the overall numbers on the economy, right? In terms of how people are feeling about that. And when it comes to probably their favorite demographic group to try to appeal to, which is Hispanics, they ain't really feeling Democrats like that as well, right? And like I said, all this, in my opinion, smells a disaster for the Democrats come 2022. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.